one. And then in 1986, UNESCO granted the Causeway World Heritage Site status, making it the only World Heritage Site in Northern Ireland and one of only 3 in the entire island of Ireland. And that very special status ranks the Causeway up with places like the Grand Canyon in the States, Niagara Falls in Canada, Ayers Rock, Great Barrier Reef in Australia. So it is pretty special. Now if you look at the window to your left, this bay that we're passing is called Port Naboe, and that translates from Irish as Bay of the Cow. But we're thinking of renaming it Bay of the Camel, because if you look down to the shoreline, you see Finn McCool's beloved pet camel. And the camel has a very unusual Irish name. He's called Humphrey. Now if you look to the horizon, you see the Inishowen Peninsula of County Donegal, with Malin Head at the far end. Malin Head is 26 miles from here. Donegal is the most northerly part of Ireland, yet it is in the south. How Irish is that one? You also see the town of Portrush and the islands off the coast, the Skerries. Now the Skerries are very famous here in Ireland. They are the home of Ireland's only ostrich colony. Sorry, did I say ostriches? I meant seagulls. Seagulls. Mind you, after a few walks of Bushmills. Easy mistake. Now if you look to the horizon, you see the island of Islay off the coast of Scotland. That again is 26 miles away from here. And rumour has it, over on Islay they've got 13 factories making some sort of a amber lemonade drink sort of thing, which in my opinion isn't quite as good as our very own Bushmills whiskey. Irish whiskies rule okay. This bay that we're passing is called Portganny, and that translates from Irish as Sandy Bay. And as you can see, this is a perfect example of a beautiful sandy beach. Don't you just wish it brought your bucket and spade? Now in front of us is the Giant's Causeway. There are two schools of thought as to how we got the causeway. The first, put out by scientists, is that that was formed by a volcanic eruption 60 billion years ago, leaving behind over 40,000 mostly six-sided basalt columns. The second is the truth, that it was built by our very own giant Finn McCool. And Finn lives here at the causeway, because as you go round the site, I don't think you believe me, do you? Giggling away like this, doesn't believe. Well, as you go round, you'll see the evidence. The chimney pots of his house, the giant organ that he plays first thing every morning, the giant teddy bear that he takes to bed every night, and the giant stone boat lying on the shoreline just beyond the gateway. When you're on the causeway, please do be careful. It is stone. And the National Trust, who are the custodians of the causeway, we have the perfect memento of your visits. The souvenir guidebook, which is full of stunning photographs of the causeway, maps, history, geography, geology and stories. And the books are available as you get off the bus from me, £3.95 sterling or €5. The causeway, enjoy it. Thank you.
And some dancing things. But yeah, but then I couldn't tell if he was saying that because I didn't go until I said, you know, Johnny, are you ready?
on. Did you all enjoy the Giant's Causeway? That's very good. And do you want to hear a story on your way back? Let's have a look out of the window over there. There are two small tiny hills. And if you look to the right one, it has a flat top. Now we're down a third on the left side, and you can see a figure like an old lady climbing up the hill. Yeah, anyone else here? Yeah? You see, that's Finn McCool's granny. And as you all know, Finn McCool was the Irish giant who built the causeway, so there's his granny. And I will tell you why she's not there. It was a few years back, of course, and Granny McCool really liked the Bushwood whiskey. So she used to go to Bushwoods every night, and then she got drunk. And when she got drunk, she was starting singing and dancing, and to be honest, she wasn't any good. She just made a lot of noise. So when she came home late in the night, still singing and dancing, she woke up the baby every time. So Finn finally had enough. He was really annoyed. He sat her down, talked to her, and he said, Granny, if you do this again, I will turn you into stone. Granny listened, promised to behave, but after 3 days she couldn't resist anymore. She went to Bushwood, she got drunk, she came home, singing and dancing again, waking up the baby, waking up the neighbors. So Finn really had no choice. He chased up this hill over there and turned her into stone. It's a very sad story, so I don't want to see any smiling faces here. It's a very sad story, but it's an Irish story, so we have a moral in here, because there's always a moral in Irish stories, and this one is, if you drink too much Bushman's whiskey, you might get stoned. True story, isn't it? So be careful when you go to Bushman's later on. And our Irish giant Finn McCool really was a giant. He was 54 feet tall, really big guy. We know this so exactly because in the next day there's this boat he left behind on the beach, and the boat is a size 93 and a half. And that means he has to be 54 feet tall. So he really was a big guy, he really was a giant. So he of course had a giant transport. He had a giant camel, which is still here at the Causeway. If you look into this bay, at the end of the bay, just right to the left side, you can see the giant camel still sitting there, bathing in the sun today. And Finn loved him so much he gave him a name. He called him Causeway. Causeway the giant camel. So now you can see all the stories about Finn McCool and how he really built the Causeway. So I hope everyone had fun here today. I mean, it's a gorgeous day. And I'll just remind you before you get off the bus that the Causeway is looked after by the National Trust and we're a charity, so we're not funded by government, we rely on members and visitors. But one way how we raise money at our property is by selling our lovely little guidebooks here. And they have all the information about the Causeway, the geology, the legend about Finn McCool, lovely pictures here as well. There are maps, a lot of information about the history. They're just €3.95 or €5 if you're interested in having this here. And then just thank you very much for visiting us. Have a great holiday. Okay, thank you. Just remain